and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, and hopefully interests you in another big week for toy news. A lot of stuff to get into, a lot of stuff to talk about, some highs and lows in the action figure game this week. But of course, we always start these off with a little housekeeping, and that's what we're going to do here today. Can't believe it, it's almost Christmas. About a week and a couple of days away, I think, at this point as I'm filming here. We're on the downhill slide to the end of the year, and of course, that means Best of awards, and we're doing a ton of top 5, top 10 best ofs on the channel, so make sure you're checking out those videos. A lot of those going on in the next couple of weeks. Already started in the last 2 weeks. A lot more to come as we close out the year. Probably a few into the beginnings of next year, so if you're into that kind of thing, stay tuned for that. Of course, December Patreon giveaway over on Patreon. December is the CM Punk giveaway, so if you want a part of this CM Punk giveaway, head over to the Patreon. Of course, Patreon, early access to all the videos, bonus content. I gave a little Q&A this week from Minneapolis, Minnesota. A fine Hilton property is where we did that Q&A from. Quite the travel day on that day for me, but we did that for Patreon members. A lot of stuff going on Patreon, so check it out. If you want to be entered that CM Punk, you want to be around, see what all the fuss is about, head on over to the Patreon, link in the description down below. A lot of great feedback from the announcement last week, of course. I talked about a Jakks Classic Superstars book coming out. Should have more details in the next week or so on that one, so stay tuned for more Classic Superstars updates. But I appreciate all the early support on the book. Going on the book tour next year, we're going to hit all the Barnes & Nobles across the country, or probably none of them. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, though. But very excited about the book coming out. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it when that time does come here very, very soon. So more on that very soon once again. And of course, other big thing this week, I was a traveling man. I was all over the place. I was on tour, basically, it felt like. But I did have to go down to San Antonio. I was in San Antonio, I was in Houston, then I flew to Des Moines, and then I drove from Des Moines to Minneapolis, and all points in between on a speaking tour for work, basically, trying to celebrate the holidays. I did venture over to the old Alamo. Shout out to the Alamo. I could see it right out of my hotel room window. It was absolutely wild. You guys know I'm not a world traveler by any means. I can see it on TV and just is good for me. However, it was cool to see the Alamo. I've always been a big fan ever since Pee-wee, and then, of course, watching the Alamo movie with John Wayne back in the day. So it was very cool to see the Alamo at least once in my life. And it was interesting. I stayed in the most haunted hotel, supposedly, in the United States, and I tempted fate a little bit, and guess what? I lost, as I did actually have an experience with a ghost. If you guys check out my videos on the channel Friday and Monday on Kyle Peterson 2.0, you'll see me maybe taunting some ghosts here and there, just having a good time joking around as we do. But it was weird. It was very, very strange. Maybe I'll do a video. Maybe I'll do a quick video on it for Kyle Peterson 2.0 next week. We'll see. But man, it was weird. It was definitely weird. It wasn't what I was expecting, and it was strange. Davy Crockett was after me. Who knows what was going on there? But I was joking about it. I was all ha-has, and then when it happens to you, it's not as funny. It's not as funny, even though I'm laughing about it now. So maybe I'll talk about it if there's interest. I'll talk about it on Kyle Peterson 2.0. Maybe I'll do a quick video over there talking about my ghost experience. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. But when I was in San Antonio as well this week, thank you to those of you that stopped by from the San Antonio locals and the guy from Venezuela. There was a guy that came all the way from Venezuela to meet me. Man, I feel bad for that guy wasting his plane fare, his gas, whatever. But he did come out to meet me. It was cool to meet everybody I met at the Wrestle Shop. A good time over there. Shout out to Oscar and the crew at the Wrestle Shop. Very nice of them to bring me in when I was in San Antonio, and I met a lot of cool people, and people I've chatted with before on social media and stuff, get to meet them face-to-face for the first time, so it was very, very fun to do that, and maybe we'll see more of that in 2024. I guess you never do know where these things will go, but I will have the book with me if that is the case next go-around, so we'll see. But once again, shout out to the Wrestle Shop down in Texas. Head on down there. As I'm filming this on Friday, tomorrow, Saturday, they have a big show Saturday night. I wish I was down there on Saturday. I even got to promote the wrestling show a little bit, so check out their Facebook for some videos with me as well. So once again, shout out to the Wrestle Shop. Shout out to Texas, San Antonio, Houston. Good time. A lot of travel this week. Like I said, I'm a little beat, but man, I'm ready for it. And boy, weekly purchases tomorrow in all-timer. I showed some pictures on my social media of all kinds of stuff that came through the door this week. So a lot to dive into in that video tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe. But let's dive into the toy news. Try to go as fast as we can. As I got 2 pages of notes. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? But we're going to start off hot. We're going to start off with some wrestling. We're going to start off with a little leaked list this week. Ultimate Series 21, Cody Rhodes, good friend of the channel. See you, Cody, on Monday night. We'll see Cody on Monday night this week, Monday Night Raw. I will be there. Good friend of the channel, Cody Rhodes. So more on that soon. But Cody's supposedly in that set. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as well. So pretty heavy hitter set in the Ultimate line. 3 in the Ultimate line going forward as we do now. No, but Ultimate 21 looks like Cody, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. We'll see if that leaked list actually comes out to be true. I guess we'll just have to stay tuned on that one. Good friends of the channel, Ringside Collectibles. We talked about their bell-to-bell exclusives last week. If you missed that, check out that video. But this week, they officially put for pre-order the El Desperado Storm Collectibles figure. You know me, those Storm Collectible figures are amazing. We've unboxed a lot of them here on the channel, but an all-time toy line for sure. Still a little hazy because Big Bad Toy Store has said in the past they are the official U.S. seller of Storm Collectible figures in the United States, but then Ringside has some, so I don't know if it's maybe just everything but wrestling. Not exactly sure how that works out, but Ringside does have El Desperado. I think it's going to ship out to everybody, I think February? I'd have to double check that, but should be coming fairly soon. We're here for that. Last week there was a convention, I believe it was in New Jersey, but the MLW figures got shown off, so we did see some in-package images. Those were supposed to be out in the fall, of course, like most toy lines, we see it all the time. Delay, delay, delay. Looks like early next year. I did pre-order those via Big Bad Toy Store, link in the description below. But the MLW figures are coming. They look pretty good for what they are. We'll see how they do sell. Of course, Karrion Kross can be a heavy hitter there because he's in the WWE now. And that's the wild thing about these toy lines. They sign these people, and a year later, here we are. Bam, he's in the WWE again. So always strange. We're waiting for Johnny Gargano from Zombie Sailor. That's another one that's on the clock. Over a year ago, we pre-ordered that figure. Now he's been WWE for quite some time at this point. So it's always weird with these smaller companies that aren't the Hasbros, Mattels, the McFarlands, the NECAs, that kind of thing, how these go. But be on the lookout for that. If you're looking for El Desperado, head on over to Ringside Collectibles, pick him up. We did see this week from KWK, of course, they have monthly pre-orders going on. Things are going to start moving in 2024, getting released to the public, of course, off the pre-orders. But we did see some factory images of the Minotaur looking pretty cool. Obviously a deep cut character, a guy that lived in my area, so I did see on local indies and around the bend, I guess we'll call it. So very cool for me to see a guy like Minotaur. Maybe not for everybody else, but I love a hairy bipedal creature, and you put that helmet on, he's a hairy bipedal creature. But a cool one, no doubt about it. So we did see those factory shots. And speaking of factory shots, we did see Zombie Sailor give up a little picture this week of one Mike Awesome. Yes, ECW stalwart, back over Japan as well. The Masato Tanaka feuds, the Fat Chick Thriller, whatever you want to call him. Mike Awesome is coming to the retro line. I am here for that. Masato Tanaka can't be too far away. Be great to have both of those on the shelf one of these days. We'll see what happens there. But that Mike Awesome is an all-timer. A good friend of the channel, David Anderson, reached out and said, man, that looks like Chris Jericho. And he's exactly right. I cannot unsee that right now. He looks like Chris Jericho when I look at him. So put some blonde hair on that, man. You got a Jericho retro. So customizers, get after that one there. But we're not done with retro news. And like I said, I need to get a retro jingle. Going to get Jeff George on the case. Shout out Jeff George. Get him on the case for a little jingle into the retro game here. But another retro one, Grapplers and Gimmicks. Of course, Hastel Toys on all that one. We did see some pretty images of the Canadians. Don't call them the Mounties. They're the Canadians. And we did see Mark Marrow as well. So we know those pre-orders coming right around the corner as well. So, man, things are flying in the aftermarket, or not aftermarket, third party, I guess, outside of the big dogs, the third party companies, wrestling figures are coming like crazy. The Asylum Toy Store, that's one a lot of people said, what's up with those figures? Well, I came back from San Antonio. They were sitting on my doorstep, so I do have those. I will be reviewing those very soon on the channel, so stay tuned for that as well. But the Asylum are officially off the clock, now back on the clock for Series 2, so we'll see what happens with that one. But like I said, look forward to that review. Look forward to Elite 106. A lot of that stuff is, once again, I was gone all week traveling. I will get done this. But you notice I was traveling all week and didn't miss one video. 4 videos a day between 2 YouTube channels. Oh, get me the cape. Where's the cape? Somebody put that one on there. Not you, Todd. You just sit on the couch. Todd McFarland over on the couch, of course. If you're watching Kyle Peterson 2.0, you saw a lot of Todd McFarland this week on all those DC unboxings. So check that out, Kyle Peterson 2.0. But now we turn our attention to, dare I say, a conspiracy.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it. No, this didn't happen. No.
Well, I guess I gotta take that back. The conspiracy no more, as Jesse Ventura says, is Powertown coming in extra hot this week with their new Remco-inspired action figures, of course, wrestling figures. And let's play the little clip.
The event of the evening is for the U.S. Heavyweight Championship. From Virginia Beach, Virginia, Magnum TA. From San Antonio, Texas, Tully Blanchard. In order for a contestant to win, his opponent must say to him, I quit.
How about that, man? That is a slick little video, and I tell you what, I was going to say, hey, Remco, maybe I'll dabble in those, but it's pretty much not going to be for me. To swinging that around from just that video clip saying, man, I think I need to get all of these figures here. And it is tough, because how many figures can you get? How many lines can you collect? But man, oh man, that Tully and Magnum 2-pack, a classic match from VHS tapes when I was a little kid, the I Quit match, to get that in figure form, and these figures look way better than I was expecting them to be. Of course, they're the He-Man style, WWE Superstar style, Masters WWE Universe, Remco style, whatever you want to call them, Asylum Toy Store style, bell-to-bell ringside style, whatever style you want to call them, like I said, they'll fit in that whole world. And man, these look way better than I was expecting. I expected good things. The other Powertown figures were good. But man, these actually blow away my expectations. So we'll see what they look like when we get them in hand. Pre-order apparently in like February or so. Hopefully that means a quick turnaround. Hopefully it's not, hey, pre-order in February, we'll see you next March of 2025. We'll see where that shakes out. But of course, as we do know, we got Tully and Magnum. We got the Rock and Roll Express, an all-timer tag team that have not had enough figures over the years. We also saw Bobo Brazil. We haven't seen images of these guys yet, but these are the ones that are in it. Bobo Brazil, a deep cut, one my dad would quote all the time back in the day. I'm going to give you a cocoa butt like Bobo Brazil. That's what he would say. Tito Santana, Ariba all day long. Nick Bockwinkel, one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. The missing link, everybody loves face paint, and then a new announcement here, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So my guess is Mattel and Hacksaw, maybe not a Legends contract anymore. I guess we'll see what happens with that. We've seen major bendies from Hacksaw. We've seen some different things. Wouldn't be shocked for a big rubber guy's Hacksaw, maybe in blue instead of the black, in a different pose than his traditional LJN. We'll see where that one goes. But man, a very heavy hitter lineup. And we did hear the Powertown Series 2 Ultras lineup. So next year could be a big year for Powertown if we can pre-order and get them shipped at the same time. Of course, Matt and Brian, their 2-pack is on the clock. Hopefully those come fairly soon. Powertown had a lot of momentum, lost a lot of momentum. Hopefully they get that momentum back here with some of these announcements they got going on right now. So we'll stay tuned and see. And you know what else? As Jerry Reed always says, we've got a long way to go and a short time to go. And we hate to bring Jerry Reed out here, but we got to bring Jerry Reed out for, of course, the Super 7 Cobra Mothership. A long way to go and a short time to get there, and unfortunately we never got there, as we didn't even get halfway funded on the Mothership. I didn't think it would hit 2,000. It did not. Just not the time of the year, not what the fan base wanted. Whatever the answer is, or whatever people think out there, we do know the clear answer is it will not be funded. However, Super 7 said full speed ahead on O-Ring Joes for next year. We'll see where all that shakes out, where that all goes. But the Mothership, unfortunately, did not get funded. But speaking of G.I. Joe Entertainment Earth this week, I was on a plane, getting ready to go into airplane mode, and I saw Entertainment Earth. I sent the links out, but man, talk about a fire sale on Super 7 Ultimate Editions. The Duke figures, and from Series 1, I guess Cobra Commander, the rest of the crew, the Cobra Bat, Snake Eyes. I ordered another set for Mint on Card, but they were all $10.99. Unbelievable for G.I. Joe Super 7 Ultimate Series 1, $10.99 a piece. Just absolutely crazy. I bought a bunch of Cobra Bats to army build those even more. At that price, just insanity is what that is. Of course, Flint, $32.99. I think that tells you all you need to know. Duke, $10.99. Flint, $32.99. Do the math. It checks out. True Leader of G.I. Joe costs more. Yes, it does at the end of the day. But man, hopefully you guys got in on that sale. I'm not sure if they still have any of that going. Last I saw, Cobra Commander was already sold out. An all-time figure, that Cobra Commander. But it just, I don't know what that tells you about G.I. Joe Classified Ultimates. Were they produced in too many quantities? Were they not resonating? I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. And of course, Super 7, a lot of people on the clock right now. Series 3 Ultimate's been on the clock for quite some time. Hopefully we get those here very, very soon. We'll see what happens there. But speaking in G.I. Joe, and I guess G.I. Joe related, of course, Valerse, we unbox those on the channel from time to time. The Vanguard, that is their vehicle that they're coming out with, and they did show an image of the Vanguard right next to the HISS tank, so you can see the size there. If you want to build your military world, you can bring those worlds together if you want to, but it'll be interesting on this Vanguard. I'm not sure I got room for that in my collection, but we'll see. But the price point is fairly reasonable. I think it's like $200 compared to, you know, $300, basically $100 cheaper. It's an interesting one, but you don't have, I don't know. Hasbro's got a lot of stuff in there, but Hasbro's got a lot more money than Valerse, that's for sure. So there's a little give and take on that. It's not going to be for everybody, but some people want a world build, mix it all together. I do understand that as well. So if you're into that, check that out. And speaking of monsters, which we weren't, but it's fun to pretend. Speaking of monsters, the NECA Monsterizer, we talked about that last week. That is up for pre-order right now on the NECA website. So get your order in if you're looking for that Monsterizer. A little bit more expensive than I was hoping. Around $100 is what it ended up netting out with shipping. I don't know, but it'll be very cool. My plan is to put all my glow-in-the-dark NECA Universal Monster figures around there. We'll see what happens there. And I do got Dracula and Phantom of the Opera glow-in-the-dark still to unbox. I've been holding out for my dad. We're going to see where that goes. He's going to come over soon. We're going to do the Ghost of Jacob Marley. That might be it. That might be the last Tom Peterson video on the channel. I do have one in the archives way back, that we'll put that out someday too. But we'll see. It could be coming to an end. We'll see if we can convince him. What we need to do is a live stream with him, and then everybody can tell him, no, 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 don't leave. But we'll see. We'll see. If he wants to retire, I can't stop the guy from retiring. That's the hard part. It's free will over here. I can't force him. So it is what it is. But we'll see what ends up happening here. But we got one more. Maybe it'll be a Christmas special this year. Stay tuned for that. We'll see what happens on that one. We also saw from NECA this week a re-release. They're re-releasing a lot of these Iron Maiden figures in new packaging. We got the Mummy Eddie, 2 extra heads on that. So Iron Maiden fans, mount up. Get a second chance at this if you missed the old one way back in the day. It'll be in the new packaging design they've been going with these Iron Maiden figures. So stay tuned for that. But then we got to turn our attention to Hasbro. And Hasbro, there's only one thing that really comes to mind this week.
Dumb.
Stupid.
Crazy.
And from the planet of the mimes, the Copper Kid.
Red, cross on the green, never take a ride in a stranger's machine, and always make sure you're burning on turbo power.
And for a first time on the channel, they got the Dirty Trifecta, they got the Saved by the Bell gang, they got the Copper Kid, and then they got Rob Halford telling them not to take a ride in a stranger machine. They got all 3 of those. As Hasbro, in a little bit of not reading the room this week, man, big miss. And believe you me, I get big business. I get job cuts. I've been very fortunate in my career. I've been a part of major companies, and I think I've been a part of 10 major restructures in these major companies, and thankfully I've always came out good on the other end of those things. But one day my ship will be called. They'll say, Kyle, nice knowing you. It's time for you to move on. I am fairly confident that will happen. It's happened to so many people I know, so many managers, bosses, vice presidents that I've worked for over the years. It's like, hey, you're a little too high up. You're getting a little long in the tooth. It's time to cut bait and get somebody a little cheaper. That's usually how it goes. But Hasbro this week cutting 1,100 jobs, 1,100 jobs. And I get that. Like I said, that stuff happens in the ebbs and flows of business. That's just the way it is. You know, it's just it's the nature of the beast is what it is. But the wild thing about this, why would you do it around Christmas? It's bad PR whenever you have massive layoffs. It's even worse PR if you do it right before Christmas. There would be bad PR after, you know, January 1st, January 2nd, whatever it would be. But boy, you're going to get a heck of a lot more bad PR if, of course, it's around the holidays. I can only imagine up there on the East Coast, like the local news and stuff, they're probably all about it. That's the top story up there and everything else. It affects a lot of people. I mean, it ruins the holidays for people. You can't tell me you couldn't have waited 3 weeks to give the same thing. It just boggles my mind on that one. So really not reading the room right there. It's just absolute insanity for there. But, you know, I think a lot of us are not really surprised by this news because a lot of these toy companies, they were living extremely large in the COVID times. We've said that. We've talked about this, and we've talked ad nauseum about it, how the toy companies, everything went up, and then things were getting back, and things were going down, and we see it every single day with all this extra product going into the stores, things like that. We need a great toy reset because it's not good for all this stuff going to Ollie's and Ross and TJ Maxx. That's not what Hasbro, that's not what Mattel wants to do. And I've seen that in the food industry as well. There's been a lot of restructures because just like toys and a lot of other things, people are buying more food. People are eating at home every single day. Now things have got back to where they were pre-COVID. People are going out to eat all the time again. People aren't buying as many groceries as they used to. They're picking and choosing. They're pitching pennies. They're looking for deals out there. And there's been a lot of reshuffling. My own company, there was another huge reshuffle this year. And it's always a sad day and it's always that, but that's just the way business is. Whether it's right or wrong, that's the way it is for many of these companies. But man, read the room. Do not do it this time of year. Unbelievable head scratcher on the Hasbro team department. Who knows? Who knows where that ends up going and shaking out. But we'll see. Some of those people will probably move to different industries. Maybe some will go to competition. Who knows what happens there, but yeah, dark time there at Hasbro. That was a dark day. And speaking of Hasbro, it was a tough day for them as well because they did do a live stream this week, and I'm sure that was tough to do a live stream with Dan, Ryan, and Dwight. Knowing all that stuff, obviously you can't talk about that stuff. So just a bad scene all around. Bad timing across the board is what that one was. But some interesting timing, and hopefully we can get some answers over here, because Todd, as we know, Todd McFarland, the hardest working guy in the toy business, sits on my couch for a lot of these reviews. I don't know how he has time, but he has 3 iPads and a cell phone going at the same time. So he's cutting deals over there on the couch as we speak right now. But Todd shocking the world this week as we saw a little McFarland-Hasbro partnership announced here. And like a lot of things, so many people on social media, oh my gosh, they're merging companies. It's now going to be Hasbro, McFarland, all this. People just went wild by one graphic and didn't even read the article, didn't even know the full story, and nobody really knows the full story yet, but it was just kind of announced. But people thinking mergers, man, they're reading way too deep into this because guess what? McFarland, who makes all the DC stuff, Hasbro, Disney, Marvel, whatever, they're not going to let them make both of them. It's not going to happen. And what they're actually going to do and where they're going to start is the page puncher line. And they weren't specific. Are we talking full-size page punchers? But I do assume, but you know what happens when you assume, of course? I assume it's going to be those little, like, 3-inch figures, 2-inch figures, whatever, with the comic book. We'll see that for Transformers, G.I. Joe, properties Hasbro owns. We'll see that from the McFarland page puncher line. I don't think we're going to be seeing G.I. Joe McFarland figures, things like that. But you never know what might happen in the future. You just never know how things might shake out. But people reading way too deep into that stuff right now. But it is interesting. It's really interesting with Hasbro reaching out to McFarland to do page punchers. And, of course, going over to Super 7 for different vehicles and different properties and things like that. So it's definitely an interesting time in the toy business. I don't know if that speaks more to what's going on at Hasbro right now, that they're farming stuff out or licensing stuff out. Because let's take that step back. They own, like, the G.I. Joe property. Hey, yeah, Super 7, you want to make all this stuff? Give us platefuls of money. We'll take it. Why wouldn't you if they're willing to do that? So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Hasbro's very interesting. They get the Ebenezer Scrooge award this week. There's no doubt about it. But that is some big news from McFarland. Over on the couch, hanging out, of course. And Todd's not talking anymore, he said. He just put the finger up. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. We'll discuss later off camera is what we'll do, Todd. But going back, circling back to that Hasbro live stream, they officially announced the 50th anniversary of Wolverine next year. Wolverine, my all-time favorite, so I am excited about this. This year for Marvel Legends, it felt kind of like a down year. I don't want to say a dud year, but not a lot of super, super exciting releases this year. We did get some deep cuts. We did get some stuff we wanted, but it felt like a lot of kind of going through the motions in some instances. Kind of felt like a lot of re-releases with some Iron Man and Spider-Man that were pretty much what we'd seen before, and in some instances, the same thing we saw before, but maybe they're kicking off next year with a bang with this Wolverine line. I'm very excited about this Sabretooth 2-pack. A lot of people looking forward to that one. Not sure what I think about those Sabretooth head scans. Got to see them in person here, but they've had a rough time, the Legends team, with some of the Sabretooth head scans, going back to the other versions as well. But we'll see how this one nets out. Of course, that's the ultimate rivalry for Wolverine in my book, for sure. So I'm anxious to see that one. I would have loved to see a Magneto Wolverine 2-pack where he's ripping out the adamantium. I think that would be an awesome 2-pack. Maybe that'll come later this year. We'll see what happens there. We did see a Psylocke 2-pack there. Probably the weakest link of the bunch for me. One we knew that was going to come eventually. It's the Hulk. Gray Hulk, that is, and Patch. Very cool to see that one in those white suits. That's going to be a cool one on the shelf. Very, very famous cover back in the day, no doubt about it. We did see the Lilandra. We knew that one was coming. But it's going to be Brood Wolverine, a little bit of a plot twist there. But I'm here for that. I'm here for a Brood Wolverine. I'm here for a new Brood from the Marvel Legends team. I have to imagine in 2024 we'll get some Brood, be it a Build-A-Figure or maybe a big deluxe box. Beautiful army builder there. I still use my Toy Biz ones from when I was a kid in my display. So we'll see how that one goes, but I'm definitely here for that one. I'm definitely here for all of these, of course. Anything Wolverine, I'm here for it at the end of the day. We also saw X-Men 97 this week. Series 2 coming out, a very popular line. I think they wish the show was out right now. Maybe the show and this will kind of pair up at the store pegs. We'll see how that goes. But we did see Cyclops. We did see Jean Grey, two that people are going to want. Nightcrawler with a return to form. A deep cut Magneto, at least from where I sit. And as you guys know, right here at this very table. Oh, and then we did see the Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor. So we are getting a little bit of an extra in there here. So interesting. A little bit of something for everybody in this one. I got to think a lot of people are going to be in on this X-Men 97 Series 2 going on there. So they showed that off. They also showed a re-release of Iron Spider and Iron Man. I don't know, but I think that what Marvel Legend team is doing at this point is some of the heavier hitters, the Iron Man, Spider-Mans, there's only so many. They've released so many. I think they're going to put a lot of these back out for the public that maybe missed them or are new collectors to it. I think that's what their plan is right there. So those two easy passes for me. Going to keep that wallet in my pants. That's a good news there. And then they did talk about a Target Walmart exclusive for Sam Wilson, Captain America, and of course Captain America Target Edition. Target Walmart, whichever it goes between those two. But Sam and Cap, two guys we've got a lot of figures from. And those are some shelf killers as well with Sam and his wings. And speaking of wings, we're getting an old school Angel. I'm here for that. That is going to be really cool. I would love to see modernized original X-Men team. Of course, we got them way back in the day, but let's get the new pinless joints, the new articulation. I think it's about time for a box set or a release or a set, something like that of the classic X-Men gear. And we're well on our way with Angel. We'll see where that goes out and see where that nets out for the rest of the year there. But that's it. Looking at my notes, that is the toy news this week. A heck of a lot of stuff going on in the toy news. A heck of a lot of stuff going on in my personal life with all my travel and all the normal work and family. You name it. I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals, don't forget the gals, especially the gals out there. You're probably going to holiday things this weekend and definitely next weekend. So hopefully everybody has a lot of fun. Going to be business as usual here. A lot of videos in the can, a lot of videos to come. I'm going to try to film, you heard it here first, 30 videos this weekend. Can I get that all done? I can get them all filmed. I don't know if I can get them all edited, but I'm going to really put the nose to the grindstone this week, get back in the saddle again like a young Steven Tyler and Aerosmith. We'll see how that ends up going. But a lot of fun stuff to come on the channel this week, so stay tuned for that. And of course, weekly purchases tomorrow. Going to be an all-timer over there, so stay tuned for all that. But of course, we finish off the toy news of the week with album of the week. And I didn't listen to a ton of albums this week, but I did go through, and it's one of those things just out of the blue, no pun intended. We did listen to some ELO this week. ELO, me, I, as we, me. I did listen to ELO, and of course, that's the Great Electric Light Orchestra the great Jeff Lynne, Roy Wood for a little bit. Don't forget Bevan. He was in Sabbath for a little bit as well. But ELO, an all-timer, one that I was turned on to by my dad when I was a little kid. He loves himself some El Dorado. That was the first album I ever heard. But I just kind of went through the whole catalog a little bit. Just kind of jumped around. But man, I forgot. It had been a long time since I listened to ELO. And a lot of people, of course, know the hits. You see them in TV commercials and stuff like that. But some of those albums like Discovery, Time, Secret Messages, New World Record, even Zoom, some of their later stuff. Just all-time great stuff with old Jeff Lynne. Big Jeff Lynne fan. One of the unsung heroes of the Traveling Wilburys as well. I even love the stuff he did with Paul McCartney in the 90s. Just a lot of good stuff out of Jeff Lynne. And sometimes you got to go back if you don't listen to those things for a long time and kind of rediscover it a little bit. And that's what I did on many a different airplanes and many a different airport this week. I did edit some videos and I did listen to some Electric Light Orchestra. So shout out to good friend of the channel, Jeff Lynne. He doesn't know it, but he is officially a good friend of the channel. And that is going to be album of the week, ELO. There you go, Electric Light Orchestra. Shout out to them. So there it is. What are you excited? What excited you in the toy news this week? Anything fun? Anything you're going to pull the trigger on day one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I'm sure a lot of people have some comments on Hasbro. People wouldn't be too nice about them. And it's kind of deserved, unfortunately, for old Hasbro just not reading the room there. You saw what the Saved by the Bell kids said. They were point on blank right there. So there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We got 2 channels. Make sure you subscribe to both of them. Videos every single day. You never know what might happen over there. So make sure you do subscribe. Don't forget about Patreon for the giveaway. And of course, bonus content, you name it. And of course, to support the channel, you can also support the channel, PersonTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on the X. The _Kyle_Peterson on Threads. And on Instagram. So for the toy news of the week, you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling to a toy show.